Just a quick heads up, very soon we do expect to hear straight from the Pentagon details of the daring nighttime military mission, a rescue mission in Syria, in the sands of northern Syria this summer, probably near Raqqa, that failed to bring home journalist James Foley. Foley was gone, according to United States officials, when a special forces unit landed in this desert, battled their way to this oil refinery where they had hoped to find Foley and even perhaps other Americans held by ISIS. James Foley is now dead, his shocking execution having stirred both deep concern and anger among Americans. And speaking of anger, what about this? A story out today says ransoms paid by European governments to ISIS are one of the terror group's biggest sources of income. So that's where they're getting their money. They're getting it from ransoms, from governments. I want you to take a listen. This is an interview from Aaron Burnett out front.
Kidnappings are working. Al-Qaeda affiliates have raised at least $125 million from kidnappings in the last 5 years. They raised $60 million alone last year. France denies it. Germany, Spain, other countries, they pay ransoms. There were journalists from France and Spain who were held with Foley by the Islamic State. Ransoms were paid for them. They're home and safe now. Jim Foley's dead.
At one time, Jim Foley's captors reportedly set a ransom of $130 million. They didn't get it. They didn't get it from the family, not from his employers, not from the U.S. government. Now, the United States says paying ransoms to terrorists only encourages more hostage-taking. So Chris Voss joins me now. He's a former hostage negotiator for the FBI, now managing director with Insight Security. And we also have Chad Williams, former Navy SEAL, author and speaker. So, gentlemen, welcome to both of you.
Thank you, Brooke.
Thanks for having us on.
You got it. Chris, to you first. You know, if European governments, specific European governments are saying, okay, we'll pay, they're paying, you know, 8-figure ransoms and getting their hostages in return, do you think the U.S. should do so as well?
No, I don't. And first of all, Brooke, I'd like to say that killing James Foley was a dishonorable thing to do. James Foley was an honorable man. Now, in regards to the ransoms, the way the Western Europeans are approaching this is a little bit like if there was a bank robber that showed up and they made it a point to immediately open the vault and dump out all the money at the same time. I mean, the way that they've responded is just idiotic. So it's an uncontrolled way in which they pay, and you can't blame ISIL for wanting to do this because the Europeans open up their bank vaults to them. It's an unwise way to approach the problem.
Do you agree, Chad, that the U.S. shouldn't open our bank vaults to these terrorists either?
Certainly not. You know, when thinking about these types of issues, I look to the wisest man that ever walked the face of the earth, Jesus of Nazareth, and he says, you know, in Matthew chapter 4, or at least we see the principle that you don't make deals with the devil, and you certainly don't make deals with terrorists. They're like a bully on the street. If you take the money out of your pocket and give it to them, do you think it's going to happen again? Certainly will. So you certainly have to put up a fight. Sometimes you could win those fights, sometimes you lose, but at least you make them know that it's going to cost them something. They're going to pay for this. And that principle that there is no rest for the wicked, that certainly is true as well. We're going to go after these guys, and there certainly is a very special place in hell for men like this.
I agree. Beheading James Foley and also beheading children, the personification of evil. Chad, let me just stay with you because just given your expertise and experiences as a Navy SEAL, let me just ask you about this rescue mission that unfortunately failed to find and secure Foley. You know, we will be hearing details, just a reminder to our viewers, from Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel from the Pentagon at some point very, very shortly. But here's what we know, Chad. We know that, or at least we're told, U.S. troops were dropped into northern Syria, actually had to shoot it out with some of the militants. They did kill some militants, but they couldn't find Foley. You know, at that point, he and others were already gone. In a situation like this, though, how do you go in? How do you rescue your target without getting killed by captors first? I mean, that has to be a massive risk.
Well, you know, the element of surprise is very important here, so I can't give away any operational details. But the point is that we'll put up a fight, and we're willing to lay down our lives for the sake of freedom to go after men like this. So instead of dishing out money, we're willing to shed blood. You know, if it was my own family, somebody that was taken captive, I would say, you know what, I want the very best men on this. You send them out there. I know what they're willing to do. I used to be one of these guys, and you know what? Foley's own mother, you know, she put out that she's never been prouder of her son, that, you know, he did lay down his life, really, for the sake of freedom. And that is an example of the greatest act of love. There is no greater love than that, to lay down one's life for his friends. And that's what we have troops that are willing to do, very highly skilled men and women, to go after men like this that commit these acts of violence.
I mentioned beheading of children by this militant group. This is what I have heard in interviews and accounts. I should be clear, CNN has not been able to verify that, but that's what we've heard. Chris, to you, as a former hostage negotiator, when you have found yourself negotiating with incredibly evil people, you know, people holding hostages, has it ever paid off to try to find a sense of humanity, if it exists, and appeal to that?
Well, the essence of being a hostage negotiator or negotiation of any type is to be able to connect with the other side, as abhorrent as that may sound from the outside. To effectively influence the other side, you have to connect with them. You have to find out a way to even respect them in order to establish rapport, even in the most horrific of
How do you do that,
acts.
other than talk money?
You find out about, say something to them that they don't understand, that makes them want to hear more. You actually draw them into a dialogue, because then it becomes an information gathering process on your part. You learn more about the adversary, and then depending upon the outcome, maybe it's something you use against them at a future date.
Chris Foss and Chad Williams, thank you both very much. And
My
back
pleasure,
to Ferguson.
Brooke.